Do you want to live more sustainably but aren't sure where to start or how it fits in with your everyday living? The Renewy Living podcast simplifies sustainability so you can feel confident to take small, meaningful actions that fit into your lifestyle. Based on the lands of the Awabakal and Worimi people in Newcastle, Australia, you'll learn how to live lighter on our planet through practical ideas, stories from like-minded people, and examples of businesses doing great things. With an open heart and mind, join me, Marty Lee, as we explore how to consume less, build stronger community connections, and thrive in your neighbourhood, wherever you call home. Welcome to the Renewy Living podcast. Hello, I'm Marty Lee, and welcome to the Renewy Living podcast. Let's talk about plastic. We see it everywhere and even in places it probably shouldn't be. And while we all want to do the right thing by tossing it in the recycling bin, the truth is plastic recycling is a lot more complex than it seems. To help untangle that complexity, I'm joined by Jess Hodge, co-founder of Resourceful Living. Jess and her team are tackling the plastic problem head-on by turning unwanted plastic items into functional products, all made locally in Kurri Kurri, New South Wales. Jess brings honesty, passion and deep knowledge to this conversation, along with practical solutions that actually make sense. So, if you've ever wondered what type of plastic is which, where it really ends up, or how we can give waste a second life through circular economy principles, you're in the right place. G'day, Jess. It's so wonderful to be here at your factory.
Thank you so much, Marty, for coming. I can't wait to show you around.
Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it because I've never been into a place like this. And what we might find is like lots of noise, or we might find some humming in the background, but that's just the nature of having a tour.
Yes, definitely. And a working factory of remanufacturing.
What do you think was your defining moment or turning point in order to start a plastic recycling business?
So my turning point, I've always been, I guess, a bit sustainable, probably even before it was a buzzword, if we may say that. What I clearly remember, though, is every school holidays I would go to Foster with my parents and grandparents, and we would have a wow of a time. And then fast forward to going over to Southeast Asia for a holiday, and it was my first real, I guess, smack in the face of seeing rubbish everywhere. I feel growing up in Newcastle and then going to the mid-north coast, it was, garbage trucks would come and it was kind of throw away, out of sight, out of mind. Whereas this first turning point for me, I was at a popular beach early in the morning, not too early, probably about 7 a.m. And there was diggers and dozers and people and skip bins just getting all the plastic that had come in the tides. That really changed my life in terms of going, we can't live like this. This is terrible. This is actually someone who lives here, their main beach. So my husband and I decided that we actually were going to do something about it. So while we were still working in our full-time jobs, we saved up a lot of money. And our next turning point came when we were watching the first series of War on Waste, where Craig put a tracker into a bag of plastic bags and he found that it was just sitting on the other side of this fence. I'm not sure on my timeline, but I think COVID may have been happening during that point or just after. And it was probably the last big catalyst where we went, no, now is the time. We need to show that you can actually recycle something. And so everything that we'd saved, we used to set up a business. And I guess that's how Resourceful Living happened, off the back of a passion to do something that got you out of bed to go, we're doing something for change. And also to change people's mindsets of just because you throw it in a bin that says it's recycling doesn't necessarily mean that. So being able to then come back to the public and go, here you go, this is what we made out of your bin.
And actually do something with it. So you wanted to have that legacy to say, well, we are doing something right here, right now. We're not stockpiling, we're actually making stuff.
Yes, correct. That's why we encourage everything that we say and do. That's, being able to take you on a tour and share. No, we get the plastic that you know and see it as, to then making it into a brand new product. We're really adamant that we're not hiding it. We're not actually putting any new plastic in at all. We're saying exactly what we're doing.
I like your honesty and I like your truth. I think that really builds for a small business, because essentially that's what you are. You're a small business who cares about what you're doing and grows with the times.
Yes.
Let's go for a tour.
So we're going to head to the start of the process, which is where you will see the waste as you know it when you throw it in your recycling bin.
Great. We're just walking past a generator.
So here, as you can see, is all the different types of plastic that we've got. So what happens is we have close business connections with the local councils as well as local businesses that are big producers of plastic. So, for example, if we see this mound in front of us, which is all different random bits of rubbish, from washing baskets to chairs to kids' play equipment, this gets dumped off in a really big hook bin, and then our team come through and they will sort it into different colours. So if we take a look at this pile over here, which is completely white with a little bit of grey, they've kind of started sorting over there.
Does that mean it's a different type of plastic? Because these photos will be on the website as part of the show notes, but the first pile that we're looking at is multicoloured. The second pile that Jess is talking about is definitely white, grey, light browns, lots of washing baskets.
Yes, so we normally sort by colour, and then we will go through and work out what plastic type it is. Now, if it is predominantly polypropylene, which is what you see over there, if there's only a little bit of HDPE, we may just shred it all together so that we get a really big white. Otherwise, we will pull it out and add the HDPE white to our HDPE pile.
Wow, polypropylene. I always associate that with clothing, like polyester clothing.
Yeah, so polypropylene, you will know a lot around your house. The ice cream containers, yogurts, washing baskets. It's a very versatile plastic. However, it can be quite brittle and break, which is why you go through washing baskets.
And also, is that giving the washing basket that little bit of flexibility as well?
Correct, yes. Whereas HDPE is your milk crates, where they have absolutely no flexibility. And then we can see a lot of different HDPE pipes, which have come from up the valley from some of the mines. And so what we will do with these is we'll sort these ones into colour. So you can see there's black and there's white. They're all the same plastic type. And we will end up sorting them into colour, cutting them down and shredding them up.
Yeah, there's a lot of pipes.
There's a lot of pipes. So we also take soft plastic, which you can see some that has been baled there, and that will get also nice and shredded.
Where does the soft plastic come from?
Local businesses like to be part of the circular economy, and soft plastics is one thing that they can easily implement if they don't have a lot of plastic waste, but it's something that they can get all of their employees involved. Personally, it's not one of our favourites because it's quite flexible, but we like to show that we can make a variety of different products with it anyway. This is an example of HDPE coloured waste.
So can you describe what you're holding up here?
So this waste that I'm holding now has been shredded, and so it's little bits of plastic, all different colours. The reason that there's lots of different colours is the amount of plastic that we got from the business wasn't what we would class as a lot, and it was all HDPE, so we actually just shredded it all in one go.
So all of this plastic in this bale, is from one business and then is it going back to that business? Like all this
yes,
plastic?
yes.
Yeah.
Most of it will. They're buying it back as tables.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
So that'll look really
So that's
cool.
a very closed loop kind of system
Yes,
where you
yes.
you know where the plastic has come from. You shredded it particularly for that business who's then buying it back as a completely different product.
Correct.
That is so cool.
And then we don't add anything to our plastic. So it is a 100% recycled plastic. We don't add any mixes or make it a composite, which means that at end of life, it will also come back to us and we can reshred and go again.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't even know that in plastic recycling there's the potential for composites.
Yes.
It's good to know then that you're fully 100% plastic, which is one of those important things. It's like clothing. If you have clothing that's got a mix of materials in it, then it's really, really hard to recycle. So you're making this plastic even easier to recycle knowing it's 100%.
Correct. So that is one of the issues with plastic recycling is you'll have one item and it may be a mix of 6 different plastics. Plastic only likes to stick to itself when you're remanufacturing it. So if you have 6 different types of plastic, it's going to end up cracking. It's not going to be a really nice finished product. So by keeping it as the same plastic type and then remanufacturing means that it can just go through the process again and again and again. And we get out of this mindset of it's a one-use, throwaway, landfill forever. What I'm holding here is shredded up Department of Education school chairs.
Oh, right. And so it's a very vibrant, like orangey red colour.
Yes, yeah. And then I love this dark green and...
Yeah, and so is that a school chair one as well?
Yeah. So,
and then what's the plan for that then?
So we have done quite a bit for schools. However, most places like, white with a bit of colour.
Okay.
Or black with a bit of colour. So those colours, for example, end up kind of being sprinkles throughout other projects, which is why we've still got a bit. Because
right. Like hundreds and thousands, really.
Yeah. We're working on it to get people to branch out. And so this here I'm showing shred, which has black, grey, white, the school chair green. So this is actually an off-cut bag. So this plastic is about 3 or 4 lives deep. So it's been a sheet and we've shredded up either the remaining bit of the sheet.
So when you say sheet, do you mean sheet that you've made previously?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, right.
So that's where you can see the school chairs are through this one.
Okay.
So there must have been, as we walk through the tour, what we try to get to is we do large sheets. And I don't know if you've ever built a plastic aeroplane, but you punch out all the little pieces and you end up with a wireframe of just like a really skinny piece of plastic. So that's what we attempt to do with all of our sheets, that we end up with just a border of plastic left and then that goes back through the shredder and then that is in this bag, which we keep tabs of how many lives deep it is.
So how many did you say this is so far?
This will be about 3 and 4
lives.
lives.
Right. And that's also a bonus because you're using 100% plastic. Same type of plastic.
Yep.
For each thing that you shred.
Yes.
So is it called shred, granulated? What do you call these little pieces?
We call these shredded, or granulated is kind of the same. I guess in real terminology and when we see it, shredding actually only puts plastic at about that big.
Which is what, 10 centimetres?
Yeah. And then granulating actually takes it to the usable side. And then there is, you will hear pelletizing, which is the perfect small little balls that you'll see.
Do each of those have a different usage?
Yes. So the pelletized ones are perfect for injection moulding. And that is another machine on top of shredding and granulating. But for what we're doing at this point in time, shredding and granulating is just perfect. Yeah.
Jess is just going through the bales looking for a particular plastic.
I wanted to find this blue for you. So everyone will be able to recognise the vibrant blue that I'm holding as the shells that you find at Bunnings for kids that you can put sand in and they're outside.
Yeah, like the clam shells, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so as people know, they fade and crack really quite quickly. So we're able to take them, shred them up, and as you can see, they come out such a delicious colour.
They are. And then what type of plastic are those?
Polypropylene.
Okay.
Yeah.
So polypropylene. I was thinking that now after you saying about the washing baskets, because they've got polypropylene in that slightly bendier,
correct.
flexible plastic.
The other one that most people don't think of. So I'm holding some shred, which is brown, orange, red, white, and some blue. So this is all of your tomato, barbecue, and sweet chili sauce bottles, which we're able to shred up and make into something brand new.
Yeah, wow. And I've seen what you've made out of that. And I like the presentation that you had your demo in was, guess what this is? And it just sort of all makes sense when you go, oh, it's all the bottles, of course. There's a lot of noise in the background because as we're doing the tour, I'm looking around at the team and there's a lot of manual labour here. So you've got an actual person, going through and sorting it. You've got someone individually cutting those bumper bars and someone else in a container, which is where you can hear this really loud noise. So Jess, what is that really loud noise?
That's actually our shredder.
Oh, right.
Yes. That's where we make all of our plastic into a usable form. But also our shredder is in a container because we actually move it to different businesses and different sites. So where they've got lots of plastic, we actually shred on site. So you're not then sending plastic via trucks all over this country. We can send one container, which will just churn up all your plastic that you've got, and we will take back all the bags of shred. So when you are then logistically bringing the plastic back to our factory so that we can use it, if it's a ton of plastic, it's a ton of plastic. It's not air, as you can see with the pipes. There's so much air that gets shipped around. And even with the council waste that we saw earlier, so much air in those bins because you can't compress it when it's in the shape that you know
but once it's shredded, wow, having it as transportable to the actual business when they've got so much plastic waste. So surely there has to be like a minimum that a business needs in order for you to transport that out there.
Not so much a minimum, even a day. We just want to make it really accessible that people aren't storing waste.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to walk closer to the shredder and it is going to be noisier. We'll see how it works.
So what's happening now is the plastic's being put into a hopper. That's our shredder, the big one where the plastic initially goes in. It will chump it up and go up that conveyor belt. The shredder is on the granulator, is on the other side. And then it goes up and through into that silo chute thing and then straight into the IBC that's underneath it.
Right, and the IBC are those really big crates with the big plastic tubs in them.
Yes. Right. Yeah, so once it goes into there, it'll go into a bulker bag or into an IBC. And then it comes into this area where we then transform it into something new.
So we're in a shed.
Yes.
We can still hear the noise of the shredder, but what we have in here are the IBCs of shredded plastic ready to do the next step.
So what we do in here is bring the IBC or bulker bag in and we weigh out how much plastic we need depending on what thickness sheet we're doing. We then put it into a frame and with a top sheet. Actually, this is perfect timing as we watch this happen in real time. And so we're able to put the top sheet on and it will go into our machine. Now, depending on plastic type and thickness does impact how long it stays in the machine and under what sort of pressure. We normally will do the machine on one type of plastic at a time, making sure that when the sheets pop out, they are just wonderful and ready to use.
So it's essentially like a big sandwich press.
Yes, exactly. A toasted cheese sandwich.
It is.
Excellent. So if you want to walk up this way, the next stage, once the sheet is all compressed and cooked, It will then come into our next machine where it then stays in there overnight until the next day. So this is actually a finished sheet of the pipes, as you can see.
So it's primarily black with all those blue flecks that you were talking about.
This sheet is now ready to be popped out of the frame, and it will then go into one of these piles here. And then we use a CNC router, which allows...
So a CNC router is like a special cutter.
Yes. But it's also the great thing about being able to use recycled plastic is you don't need new fandangled machinery. You can actually use the CNC that you've already got. We use all woodworking tooling. You know, when you're working with recycled plastic, you're not having to then go out and get all this special plastic stuff, which I think is a real big bonus, especially for us making construction material, that we can send it to construction sites and they've already got the drills or the saws that can cut it. So this is then our finishing part. So they've been cut on the CNC, but as you can see, the CNC, you know, there's a little bit of an edge that needs to come off. So then it's just there ready for finishing.
So what are we looking at here? It's an example of a signage or...
trophies.
Oh, it's trophies.
And then this is our wheel stops that we're working with IQ Renew on their soft plastic. So you'll know wheel stops when you see them in car parks. And so they stop the car from going straight through a car park, or they, help you park. These are 100%, 17 kilos worth of, this one, for example, is soft plastic, but we do them out of HDPE as well. And it's a real bulk way to get rid of or reuse plastic. And it can sit in a car park for years and years and years.
Yes.
And it's, rather than using new plastic, which is a lot on the market at the moment, it's the perfect product that we can be using with recycled because...
Absolutely. I can see how something like this, which to me, I go around my daily life and I don't think anything of this, but I love how this is your job to see what can be made of recycled plastic instead of virgin materials.
Correct. Yeah. And I feel that these sorts of construction items are just a real winner for reusing and remanufacture. So when we've cut everything out, as I spoke before, we try to get to the end where there's a wireframe. And so this is a perfect example of a lot of our different wireframes. And so that'll then get chopped up and go straight back through
to be reused again.
Yeah, so this just needs to get sorted back into colour. So we still do, to a point, shred based on colour so that we can keep it all separate. And the other thing that we're also doing a lot of at the moment is formwork. So we had it all tested and it's a like for F17 plywood. And the best part about that is because it's used in construction and formwork, colour's not a problem. So we're able to sweep up off the ground and create sheets just from plastic that's dropped. And then we've got a lot of different formwork, or concreters, I should say, that you can get 3 to 5 uses out of the formwork at minimum. And so they will set up. It didn't matter when all the rain was here. It didn't swell.
Of course, because it's plastic.
Yeah. And so then they'll come back with their lots of chopped up little pieces, which is what ends up happening. And then we have a swap over program so they can just get new ones. And then they're not storing old plywood, trying to get rid of that. And we just create a whole circular motion of, they bring old, get new, bring it back, get new. And when I say new, it's all recycled.
Newly recycled materials. And I think that's perfect being involved in the construction industry because there's so much waste that goes on with construction. So it's really supportive of an industry that naturally generates waste.
Yes, and it's a sector that needs, when you are laying concrete, I mean, you want it to be in a square or a rectangle or whatever you're doing. And so it naturally generates lots of waste. So being able to provide a product that they're not trying to store to get rid of it, they can bring it back to get new And also they're not now wasting it if they set it up and then overnight it rains. Like, that must be so frustrating when you use regular.
I would think it would
Plywood,
be frustrating. I mean, you see when they're building houses, because that's a bit of a formwork thing as well.
Yes.
Building a house, and if it's not a pre-built, yes, they have to wait weeks in order for the concrete to set or the timber to dry if it has been raining.
Yeah. So hopefully by getting out more and sharing how versatile recycled plastic is will be better for everyone. And I think just that mindset as well of we've been so used to and taught that plastic in the home gets thrown out, kind of disappears, yet we can reuse it over and over again. And a lot of the plastic that we see in our homes is really thin because of it costs less. However, the way that we're compression moulding, plastic has broken some of our metal frames. So it's a very strong material, and changing your mindset to being like, oh, but I can crush it in my hand. It's a bit of a rabbit hole.
One of the key things about living sustainably is to say we need to avoid plastic as much as possible. We've seen it across the globe that there's plastic pollution absolutely everywhere. And I'm sure there are many listeners that would be hearing this going, but hang on a minute, if we're trying to reduce the amount of plastic we actually need to use and you're producing plastic that, yes, it's recycled, does that mean you're actually supporting the plastic industry?
Definitely not. There is so much plastic already in our world that we will never be able to recycle ourselves out of it. But also being able to use 100% recycled means we just reuse the same plastic that's already here. I encourage everyone that's listening to find alternatives, especially in the home and for those single-use packaging. Wherever possible, please find alternatives if you can. We do not need any more plastic. There is definitely enough.
I like how you've actually said that and are supporting that we don't need any more plastic, even though you're making and manufacturing recycled plastic. But I also think that the way that you've described through the factory tour makes it even more important to understand how plastic recycling actually works. And there's the different types of plastic. And you've already said that the soft plastics are not your favourite, but you're trying to work with it.
Yes, definitely. And for another example, the 1 to 6 plastics, they've all got their own characteristics, their own pros and cons. So really narrowing down and understanding what plastic is best for what application is what we all need to look at. So my perfect example is for a lot of outdoor kids furniture, we use polypropylene with no extra additives. This is why it fades and cracks so quickly. Great for profit margins, right? But if we're looking at it sustainably, if you want an outdoor kids furniture or an adult's outdoor furniture, HDPE plastic is going to last you 50 plus years and more. Like, it can be a hand down in your family. And it's so finding those plastic types that provide you with longevity and the durability rather than just whatever is the cheapest on the market to be able to create something.
Really interesting, because I always associate, apart from kids' outdoor playthings, but you know those cheap green and white chairs that you can get at a massive hardware store? They would be made of polypropylene as well. Now that you've had this tour, I'm feeling like I'm a bit more confident with my plastics. So if you're saying that HDPE plastic is a better type of plastic and way more durable, what is HDPE, and can you give us some examples of what we find around our home that it's made from?
Yeah, so HDPE is high density polyethylene, and its characteristics are that it's very structural, so you can use it as like chair legs. It's very hardy. It's great outdoors. It's got UV resistant already in it. You would know it perfectly as your milk cartons. That's probably one of the main ones, as well as your shampoo, conditioner, and those larger soap bottles. A lot of your laundry as well. So that harder plastic that you can't really squeeze is what HDPE is. And you can get a really big lot of colour as well.
There's a bit of a smile happening on your face because it is amazing to see the sheets that you create with all the different colour flecks in it. It's quite lovely. Like white is nice, but the colour sort of
You
adds
can
to
really
it.
bring through your own personality.
Yeah, with the colour.
Yeah.
When you receive plastic, what kind of volumes of plastic are you looking at?
At the moment, most of the plastic comes in 1 to 2 tonne lots. So
How many elephants is a tonne? How many swimming pools are a tonne?
Sorry, yes. I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct, it's like 2,500 2-litre milk cartons.
Yeah, wow. That's a lot.
As one drop off.
And one drop off can mean from a few council areas.
Yeah, one council will do a tonne, another council will do a tonne.
Wow, so that puts it in perspective of we're only talking about here in Kurri Kurri with a smaller population than the whole population of Australia. So you can imagine it.
Yeah.
How much we produce in Australia. So you're right, like what you were saying before, you don't need to keep on using plastic and you encourage people, we've got enough plastic as it is.
The other thing I saw recently was in Australia, every person generates 2.5 tonnes worth of waste per year.
Yeah, okay, so you've just done the whole waste thing. The tonnes, yeah.
Which is just mind-blowing. And the other thing to think of as well is if we can get away from like finding sustainable options, you're right, there is so much plastic when you then start to dig into, construction, mining, healthcare. We've been told often that since the plastic bag ban came in that we would run out of plastic. And it actually makes me really sad that unfortunately that is not going to be, we've got so much plastic that I wish. My ultimate goal would be that I get to a point and go, wow, we've got nothing more to recycle. Great job, everyone. But yeah, it's just when you start to dig on how much waste each of us, like between you and I just sitting here, that's 5 tonne. And we're probably much on the lowest side because of how we work our own lives. Yeah, you think of just the people in a capital city and timesing that out by 2.5 for everyone. Just it ends up numbers that you can't comprehend. The other one that I saw just released was a garbage truck of plastic ends up in the ocean every 30 seconds. Again, you can't fathom it because you're like, how are we producing and throwing away that much waste?
Do you ever struggle with any ethical side of plastics and plastic production, like when you receive things?
We do. Everyone that works here is also quite sustainable, just as themselves. I guess that's why they end up wanting to work and remanufacture. But one of our biggest parts is when we get items delivered that are 100% working, when they're not broken, when they're not anything, that we're supposed to shred these perfectly fine items. A perfect example recently was we found a 20-litre jerry can, which was in great condition. And it really begs to think, why was this thrown out? Like, are we just over-consuming so much that instead of checking our garage before we go and purchase a jerry can, we just go and purchase one instead and then come back and go,
and then discover you've already got a couple.
Oh, I've already got a few. Yeah, that would be our biggest one. And then, just a lot of kids' toys that are in perfect condition. Yeah, I do. I definitely do struggle because I go, it could still have a life as what it is. I want people to see recycling as the absolute last resort of it's not buy, use, recycle. It's definitely looking at refusing, then reusing yourself if you have bought it, trying to then offer it to someone else or another family. And then if you've tried every other avenue, then look at putting it in your bin. Our other perfect example is I've got 3 young boys and they now have a car park full of kids ride-on cars. It would have come from families that the children have grown out of. But yeah, it really goes, wow, we're throwing out perfectly good items.
I can see why you'd be struggling. And it is also really heartening to hear that you are sustainable as much as you can be yourself, and there are bits and pieces that you struggle with, but you work through that.
Yeah, I'd love if everyone could really look at questioning, do I need to purchase this? Because the other thing that I just wanted to mention as well, that when you're in the grocery store, just remember that the price of the product that you're buying incorporates the price that it took to make the packaging. So if you're buying something for $5, I know there's not a lot for $5, but chances are the packaging could have been $1 itself. I really want people to think it's not a flex to tell people that you fill up your recycling bin every fortnight, because every time you take that bin to the curb, everything that's inside you've purchased. So if we can change our mindset and go, do I need that, or can I take my own container and reuse that, you're actually saving money.
And that's such a great tip to share with everybody, to be more mindful, because everything has a value on it. Even if you don't know, it might have that hidden value.
Yeah, and I think we forget that when we're buying our laundry detergent, we're also paying for the container that it comes in.
If you have one tip for listeners about plastic reduction or plastic recycling, what would that be?
My main tip is, please, when you're out shopping, ask yourself, do you really need it? And if you do, can you try and look for a more sustainable option? We do not need any more virgin plastic in circulation. And then my second one is that please look for recycled products to purchase when you need something. So if you want to continue to show that you're recycling, the only way to continue that is to actually buy the products on the other end. And I encourage you to do your research on the products that are out there available that use recycled content.
Thanks so much, Jess, for your conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Renewy Living podcast. I hope you're feeling more confident about taking a localised and actionable approach to living sustainably. If this episode has inspired you to take simple action, please follow the Renewy Living podcast so you can catch every episode. We'd love it if you could share this episode with your friends. It's a great way to spread the word and help more people join the conversation about living sustainably. You can even send me an email with the episode that really made it for you. Hearing your positive actions for change helps me understand how these stories work within our shared communities. Head over to my website, renewyliving.com.au, for the show notes and blog posts from this episode. I look forward to sharing more stories from the people of Newcastle as we delve into our community's diverse social and environmental practices for positive planetary change from a localised perspective.